What's going on, guys? JPS back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to 9 weird things British people do that they think is normal. So we might be exposing you guys a little bit in this video. We'll find out, but this video comes from Adventures in Naps, who is a Canadian living in the UK. So it'll be good to draw some similarities and differences from that background, and it should be a good video. You know, some of the videos I react to are like 10 weird things you didn't know, or like 10 things, you know, they're a lot more generalized, so it's cool to get a more anecdotal and specific video, and I think it should make for a great watch. So let's get right into it, guys. Consider joining the Patreon, first link in description, for full reactions to British TV shows and movies. I promise it's worth it. Put a lot of time into it. No pressure if you don't want to join. Thank you for watching this, and here we go, guys. Let's see. What are some weird things you guys get up to?
Hi everyone, it's me. As a Canadian who has lived in the UK for the last 7 years, I have noticed that the Brits do some weird things that they think are normal. So today, I am going to share their secrets. And without further ado, let's go. Make sure to leave a comment down below. What is a weird thing that British people do and they think it's normal? Maybe you do it. Do you do anything weird? Let me know. Number 1, it is totally reasonable to buy a caterpillar cake, and everyone knows who it is. So this little British quirk came up around Christmas time.
Isn't this like where every supermarket has their own variation of the caterpillar cake, and are they suing each other or something? I don't know. Who was the first one? It wasn't Tesco, was it?
My mom was here for a visit, and I had to explain who Colin the Caterpillar is. I actually made my own Colin the Caterpillar cake on Patreon a couple years ago. If you want to join me on Patreon, that'd be awesome. No worries if not. But my Colin went about as well as you'd expect it. I just think it is so cute and funny and silly that as a population, we all know who the caterpillar is. You don't even have to say it. Or you could just talk about Colin. I'm gonna go out and get a Colin. And everybody knows. He's just weird. Part of the family. Until you eat him, of course. Number 2, a weird thing.
It is very weird. It is weird. But that's not... That's just a British thing. I don't know why that is.
Brits do
so
that they
weird.
think is normal is consume some of the most creative sandwiches I've ever seen. Can I interest you in a chip buddy? Yes. That is a sandwich where the inside are chips.
Literally, bro.
Just like the name implies.
Hey, chip buddy is cool, but we need a bacon buddy. That is not weird. That's amazing. It's also interesting how weird has kind of a negative connotation, at least in my mind in some ways. So I've kind of been thinking about that as I'm saying weird in this video.
The name implies. Now, again, I do have to say I made one of these on Patreon, and I get it. I'm not making fun. I totally get it. There is something absurd about a chip buddy.
Stupid.
I think we can all agree, but we can also agree that they're fabulous. You could also have a pot noodle sandwich.
Bro, no.
Or what about a fish finger sandwich? The Brits have just an unbelievable amount of sandwiches. And of course, lots of people use different words for sandwich depending where in the UK you are. I just think it's fabulous that you could put whatever you want between 2 slices of bread. Literally. And call it a day. Number 3,
Bro,
we have...
Not to bring it up again, Tesco, please sponsor me. The meal deals are a perfect example. You go in that refrigerated section, they have like 20 different sandwiches. Some prawns and mayonnaise on a bun. Some random chicken thing with some kind of good sauce, sometimes nasty sauce. Like, they can be hit or miss, the sandwiches. I'm not even hating right now, guys. It's just amazing that there's such variety. And it's true, you guys stick anything between 2 pieces of bread.
Pet names from strangers. Now, I remember very vividly when I first moved to the UK, I think I even talked about it in a video, where it made me feel really uncomfortable when strangers would call me love or sweetheart or any of that kind of thing, because I just inherently viewed that as condescending. That's just... If you heard that in North America, sometimes that's how it comes across. But of course here, that is not what it's all about. So it is not uncommon to hear a whole variety of pet names from complete strangers, and oftentimes people you will never see again. Love, lovely, sweetheart,
dear,
duck, Yes.
Duck.
Pet, darling. I mean, there's so many. And while it kind of threw me off at first, now I absolutely love it. I think it's very sweet. It's just sweet. And yes, they can be used in a condescending way. If the situation calls for it, yeah, it could be done in a negative way, but typically it's not. I was at a cafe the other day and the woman serving me said something like, "Here you go, love." It's so nice. Or the other day, I was getting a parcel delivered and the postie, what a great word. The postie was like, "You have a great day, sweetheart." It's like, you know what? I will have a great day. I just think it's really nice, and I do wish that Canada did it, you know? Like, you may hear the odd pet name, but it's really not done in Canada or the US on a day-to-day basis. But here, it's just, you know, love, lovely, sweetheart, duck. I love it. I just think it's very sweet, and it's just a nice thing. Next up,
on the topic of that, first of all, I think that's one of the best parts about Britain, the term, like the endearment and saying stuff like that. But I can definitely see how it is condescending in the United States. And a lot of times it is like, be like, oh, it's kind of like, it feels like you're putting them below you when you say it in the United States, because it's not common to say it. That's the problem. It's really, but also you can infer based off of how they're saying something. And sometimes people misinterpret things anyways, but that is one of my favorite parts about Britain, guys, is that right there. Complete strangers saying love, dear, darling. I don't get called darling too much, but I think love is like the standard, to be honest.
4. Is it number 4? I hope it is. For number 4, I would like to show you a clip from one of my videos. Now, this was from a vlog that I did when I went to my first ever beer festival, or a hops festival. And this was in the video, and I was like, I don't know what that is. Can somebody help me? And everybody in the comments was like, it's Morris dancing.
Morris dancing.
So I had a little bit of a Google. The earliest known and surviving English written mention of Morris dance is dated to 1448, and it is described as a form of English folk dancing. Fascinating. I think it goes without saying that I never saw that in Canada or America. I've just never seen it. But saying that though, I have seen it multiple times here in the UK, especially at like festivals or events or like days out, those types of things. And while it is kind of weird when you look at it, you know, you got some men sort of like slapping their feet, and usually like someone's got a stick and maybe there's like bells and stuff, and you're like, this is kind of weird. I do really appreciate the fact that people still do it. And honestly, one of the things I love about living in the UK is that you are surrounded by history. And a lot of times I mean that by the buildings and the architecture and that kind of stuff, but also with stuff like this. Yeah, when you look at it on the face of it, it's a bit silly and it's a bit weird. But I love that this is like history. And people are still doing it. Number 5, I simply call...
Very true, very true. All the traditions and songs and celebrations and costumes, they're not really costumes but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, that does carry on in the UK, and that's amazing to see. We just don't have that type of tradition embedded in our country. And also, I feel like in the United States, we're we're just too different from each other, so it's hard to find something where everyone can be like brought together with a festival or whatever it is. Like, it's pretty rare over here, so it stands out when you see other places doing stuff like that.
Well, sun's out, shirts off. So here in the UK,
we know that.
How can I describe this? Well, quite simply, when the sun comes out, the men take their shirts off. Whether they should or not, it's not part of the question. Now, where I'm from in Southern Ontario...
Depends, honestly. Some should, some shouldn't.
We have some wonderful weather. I know people don't think about that. We have wonderful weather, like late spring into the summer and then like into the fall. Beautiful weather. like 30 degrees. But if you were to walk around a small town in Ontario, like where I'm from, you would never ever see a man walking through town without his shirt on. You're not going to see it. The only time you will see like shirts off is at the beach, where it should be. But no, there is a portion of the British population that participates in suns out, shirts off. The minute the sun is out, the minute that it's even remotely nice out, men are taking their shirt off, and they're often like town center, which, please stop.
I gotta say, guys, this is also in the United States. You all know the term sun's out, guns out, bring the muscles out. But people do that before it gets to 30 degrees. I would say like 18, 19, 20 degrees. You get around there, you start seeing people with their shirts off. And I don't live not near the beach. Like, it's the same thing. It's just if you're in a town, especially if people are exercising, that makes sense. But I will say, Britain, you guys do it to a different level, because now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of times when people do have their shirts off, they're usually engaging in some type of physical activity, whether it's a sport, going for a little jog or whatever. When Britain, it's just like, oh, I'm just walking down the street, just my shirt's off, and everyone's red and has like tattoos. Oh, it's brilliant. That a sunscreen business in Britain, I think it would do well. Like a little boutique sunscreen kind of, I don't know. Maybe that's something to think about, because there's a lot of sunburnt people in the UK. You guys are quite pale, and when that sun does come out, I don't think people are protected enough. But that's something I do love about I don't mind it at all. I love to see people free, enjoying the weather. Why not?
This is one of those things, you know what? I'll take Morris dancing.
But not that.
Put your shirt back on. It's not even that hot out. Number 6, we
Fair
have
enough.
a very integral British quirk that so many of them do, and now I do it. And that's quite simply, when you're ready to go, when you're ready to leave some event or a friend's house or whatever, you slap your knees and you say, right, well, we best be off.
Right.
You slap your knees and you say, well, better be going. You slap your knees and say, wow, is that the time? We should get a move on. There's something about slapping the knees that is so integral to British culture. And I know so many people do it without thinking. I do it now without thinking. And to be fair, it is a really great visual cue. Like, you don't want to be rude or awkward, but you are kind of being awkward, that you want to leave, but you don't know how to say that. You can't just come out and say, okay, I think we need to go now. You have to do the knee slap. Everybody respects the knee slap. It's
Literally.
just wonderful. I love it. Is it weird? A little bit. I think that's fair to say. It's a little bit weird, but I think it's great. Number 7 of weird...
It's a bit of a quirk, I will say. But guys, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, when you're on the phone with someone, when you're at someone's house, whatever the case is, it's ending it is the hardest part. Ending the call, especially if it's someone that you actually want to talk to. Or you want to hang around. If you don't, then maybe it's the easiest. You want to just get that over with. But if you're just trying to spend as much time, and then just breaking it off, and whether it's ending it or leaving, is always like... You don't want to make it awkward or seem forceful or rude, but at the same time, you have to go. So it's just, I swear, that's probably the hardest part about any engagement or interaction. So now that I think about it, though, I might have to start implementing the slapper, because that is great. It's very subtle, and it's not something you have to express like vocally. You just, well, I gotta go. Like, you can do your same, well, I gotta go, but with the slap, it makes it way less awkward when they're coupled together. So, listen, that might be the best weird thing that British people do. And that's something I did not know British people did. Something I never realized or thought about. This is a great list so far. She's done a great job with this video.
Things Brits do, and it has to do with how they treat people. Now, this is very confusing if you come from a country where this is not done. But let me explain. Sometimes you will find when a British person is very polite to somebody, lots of manners, very polite, very friendly, they hate that person and they despise them. On the other hand, sometimes when you hear a British person calling another person every name under the sun, it means that they love them. The banter in this country is unbelievable. And this sort of banter among friends can be really...
That is so true, actually. Because you're going to be like, oh, cheers, cheers, nice, thank you, thank you, thank you. But in reality, it's like, oh. And then when you're hating on, which is, I had to get used to that because you guys would take the piss out of everything. And I would be like, damn, I'm taking everything to heart, which is not the point of that. I think British people do banter and talking to each other like they take that to the next level more than any other place I've been or have learned about or anything. Like, it's just constantly jokes and rude insults, but that's how you know that you really like someone.
Confusing. I remember my first job here in the UK. I was working in an office, and you really learn about social dynamics in an office, let me tell you. And if you come from a country that doesn't do that, it can be really alarming. There have been situations, honestly, I'll admit it, where maybe at work somebody says something that's like really mean to me, and I'm just like, oh my God, they hate me. This is it. I have to leave England. These people hate me. And then someone has to say, no. They like you. That's why they're doing it. It's banter. You're one of the group, right? You're part of the gang. But let me tell you, it is devastating. I will say, now that I've lived in England for over 7 years, when someone is really polite to me, I get worried. Because in your head, you're like, oh my God, do they hate me? Why are they being so polite? Number 8 on our list. Is it your birthday? Oh my God, happy birthday. You bring in treats. So one thing that I found quite surprising, whenever I would arrive at the office, I'm coming in, maybe my bus had been late, not surprising, and there'd be treats out. There'd be little cakes.
Or train.
Maybe, the little Tesco, you can get like those little miniature cakes, maybe some cupcakes, maybe some biscuits, and you're like, ooh, whose birthday is it? And it was always that person who brought in the treats. On the flip side, when I was working in Canada, I was actually at a school. So these are two like school office environments. In Canada though, if we knew it was gonna be one of the teachers' birthdays or whatever, we would bring in the treats because it's their birthday. Saying that though, also participating in a kitty or in the kitty, a kitty would come around the office in England and you'd put in a couple of pounds towards a present for the birthday person. So the birthday person brings in their own treats, but at least our office, we would have a kitty with that would go towards a gift for them as well. And if your office is big enough, like we had a decent amount of people in the office, it was always somebody's birthday. There were cakes out more often than not. For number 9, weird things British people do that they think is normal.
I think it is a bit weird to have to buy your own cake on your birthday, but also that's American. We're not the ones to do that. Like, people make a huge deal out of birthdays in this country. Oh my, it's honestly a bit frustrating sometimes. Listen, I'm all for celebrating, but like, it can be a bit over the top. So no, it's like it's mostly on your friends or family to do everything for you on that day. Like, you shouldn't have to buy anything. I guess that's at least where I was raised and what I saw. Yeah, for the most part.
For number 9, weird things British people do that they think is normal. Can you guess? I hope you can't. And if you can guess, that's really weird. But it is in fact how they say goodbye. All right, it was so nice talking to you. See you later. Bye. Bye, bye, bye. Bye. See ya. Bye.
No, bro. It's literally like, bye, bye. Like 20 times, bro. How many times are you going to say bye?
Bye, bye, bye. See ya. Bye. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. I love how drawn out the goodbyes are. Sometimes you see it in person, sometimes you hear it on the phone. I love it. How many times do you say goodbye when you're trying to end a conversation? Count next time. If you would like to watch more videos, which would be totally awesome, why not check...
On the topic of this, guys, it just came to my mind. When I was in Portsmouth and I went on that ferry over to the Isle of Wight, there was a queue outside of the hovercraft, right? To get in line for the hovercraft to board on. But there was this girl in front of me, and she had just got dropped off by this man. I don't know what their relationship was, right? But he's driving off, and like they're waving at each other. Like they say goodbye in person. He hops in the car, starts driving down the street. They're waving, like continuing to wave. He has the window down, waving. It literally like takes the turn, is driving through a roundabout, still waving, and then literally is driving the other way fully. Like you can't even see the car anymore, basically. And his arm is out the window, like so she can see behind. That was just, I've never seen anything like that. So, listen, it's not just phone calls. It's like those drawn out goodbyes, though. When I saw that, I was like, there's no way that they're still waving at each other. Like, bro, you guys said goodbye like 45 seconds ago. Just drive off. We do not do that stuff in the United States. It's very sweet, though. I appreciate it. But it's just so weird to see because we've never seen that. So, anyways, amazing video. Big shout out to this channel. Link will be in description, guys. Go show some love. That's 9 weird things British people do. I think it was a good list. Let me know if there's anything that you think was left off the list, or that you do that you think is weird, or things that I do that you think is weird, or Americans do. Anything. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. Hit the like button, hit subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.